From the sanctuary of the King of the South. Unsealing Daniel 8:3-27 IKV. I lifted up mine eyes, and I saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. Verse 4. I saw the ram pushing westward, and northward, and southward, so that no beasts might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hands, but he did according to his will, and became great. Verse 5. And as I was considering this, behold, a he-goat came from the western hemisphere and covered the face of the whole earth. He touched not the grounds, and this he-goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Verse 6. And the he-goat came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. Verse 7. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with anger against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but the he-goat cast the ram down to the ground, and with his hoofs stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Verse 8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and from it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of the heavens. Verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great, toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant lands. Verse 10. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Verse 11. Yes, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the yearly sacrifice of Chuku was taken away, and the place of Chuku's sanctuary was cast down. Verse 12. And an host was given him against the yearly sacrifice, which is Passover or Ajoku burnt offerings, by reason of transgressions, euphemism for unholy communions, and this he-goat cast down the truth of Chuku to the ground, and he practiced, and prospered even with his transgressions. Verse 13. Then I heard one Inze, later called Zaint, speaking. And another Zaint said unto that certain Zaint which spake, saying, How long shall be the vision concerning the desolation of yearly sacrifice, which is Passover or Ajoku? And the transgression of desolation, which is Churchianity, which gave both the sanctuary of strength and the host of the children of the King of heaven to be trodden under their foot. Verse 14. And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 Chuku's days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Verse 15. And it came to pass, when I, even I Daniel, had seen these visions, and sought for its meanings, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. Verse 16. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of a river, which called, and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. Verse 17. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid, and fell upon my face, but he said unto me, Understand, O son of man. For at the time of the end or end times shall these visions be. Verse 18. Now as he was speaking with me, as a typical Hebrew pronounced rightly as Ebo, I was groping on noonday and in my amnesia or deep sleep, with my face towards the ground of the earth, but he touched me, and set me upright to the light of his word. Verse 19. And he said unto me, Behold, son of man, I will make thee to know what shall be in the last end of these indignation or wickedness. For at the time appointed the end of that age shall be. Verse 20. The ram which thou seest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia, which is ancient Babylonia, which dismayed Israel before Judah, and sent her packing out of the middle earth, deep down into the sub-Saharan waters of the rivers of Ethiopia and Niger. Zephaniah 3:10. Verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of Gracia, which shall be known later as Greece. And the great horn that is between his eyes is its first king. They would sack Egypt and stole the great book in their libraries, and would change the name of the library town to Alexandria. Verse 22. Now, the horn Greece being broken, whereas 4 other horns stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the broken Greek nation, but not in his power. This means they would be independent of him. These are Italy, which is Rome, Spain, England, and France. They are all children of Apollyon or Baal, the sun god, worshipped on the first day of their 7 days adventurous week. Remember, your true 1 week is 8 days and not their 7 days. Verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when these wicked transgressors are come to their full circle, a king of fierce countenance, and understanding of dark sentences, which shall be called sciences, shall stand up. He shall be called America, or the new found Egypt. It shall operate in the shadows of Rome and Babylon. Verse 24. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. This means he shall operate with borrowed amalgamated powers. But he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper, and practice deception through sorcery. This is fake news. Moreover, he shall be the one to destroy the mighty and the holy ancient people. This is the transatlantic business, the indelible and original sin of the king of the north. Verse 25. And through his policies also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hands. This is subtleties and cunning techno-crafting. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace, this meaning wicked subtle diplomacies learned from sun god priests of Grecian or Roman empires. By this peace, he shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes by loving to use the fake name, Jesus or Jesus, instead of the true name, Yeshua or Yeshua. But he shall be broken without hands. Harmon. Verse 26. And the vision of the evening and the morning which I told you here is very true. Therefore shut thou up the visions, for it shall be for many days. Verse 27. And I Daniel fainted, and I was sick for certain days. Afterward I rose up, and did the king's business. But I was astonished at the vision, because none would understand it, until the end of time.